so many of you back. It's kind of nice to have the change of weather today compared with what it was yesterday. So those of you that were here yesterday to catch the games, you were probably standing underneath an umbrella most of the time. But today it's a great chance for you to get out and compete. And it was nice to see, as far as both the coaches are concerned, that we had very competitive teams from the alumni, both on the men's side as well as the women's side, to go against the present teams. And they certainly enjoy the interaction that they have with you all as well. I guess when I talk about John, I kind of wonder about how much more could one person do for an institution than what John's done. And I think about it as far as a coach, I think about it as far as a teacher, and I think about it as far as an administrator. When I think about the sports that John's coached, whether it be basketball, soccer, baseball, football, tennis, swimming, or golf, you name it, he's done it. I mean, matter of fact, is there a sport that you didn't coach at the college, John?
Cross country.
Cross country. But when I think about John as a teacher, I think about John as a teacher, and I think about him as a mentor. And I think about him from that standpoint because I think about watching him, whether it be on the sidelines or in the classroom or at home, just talking with the athletes, to talk with the parents, and to talk with our coaches. And in particular, I've seen it as a coach. And John, as most coaches, he sees maybe some of the mistakes that you make as a coach on the sidelines or in a game. And John certainly was not one to mince words as far as saying, Greg, I think you probably should have done this. But one of the things I would tell you as far as helping, John coached football years ago, but he always has a love for football and soccer, and so he watches it all the time. And there was a time when the University of Miami was national champions in football, and John said, have you ever thought about trying to do their short passing game? And I said, sure. I just haven't been able to spend enough time. And he says, well, I'm going to Miami. He says, what do you think about me stopping over and talking to their coaches? And so, sure enough, that's exactly what John did. He went to the University of Miami, talked with their coaches about their short passing game, and brought it back. And, how many people would think about doing that? But John was very beneficial in helping me that way. And I think about, when talking about John as a teacher, I think about not only what he did in teaching in physical education classes, but also whether he's talking about World War II, politics, the NCAA, or life in general. We've all been able to sit in a situation and be able to talk with him about those and have learned something from it. There's no doubt about it. But then I think about John as an administrator, and I think about him taking a lead in the Midwest Conference, but I think about him as taking a lead as an architect, a builder, a lobbyist, as far as the old physical education complex is concerned. And as most of you know, that John was the person that was behind that movement that got that facility. And there's a lot of history to that, and I encourage you to look at some of the information about the PEC. But when I think about a career, and a lot of times we think about somebody that puts in 20 years, and that's a career. Well, if I look at John, I think about John's had 3 careers, and 3 careers at Grinnell College. And the first one is maybe as a basketball coach and a football coach. The second career was as a soccer coach. And the third career has been as a mentor or a coach to our coaches. And I know that all of our coaches, at least the ones that I've known that have come in the last 20 years, have all had a chance to talk with John and to give a history about Grinnell and why this place is special. And the last thing I'd like to talk about is John as a leader and innovator. A lot of you don't know, especially the students when they're first here, you don't realize about a group that John has been leading for over 30 years now, and that's called Pfitsch's Fish. And that's a group of senior citizens that meet on a regular basis in the pool at 8 o'clock in the morning. And if you haven't been down there at 8, you need to go down sometime, because it'll be one of those cases where you'll hear this music in the back. Well, it's not music. you'll hear these marching orders in the background. Up, 2, 3, 4. And that's John's original recording that he did for the Pfitsch's Fish. But it's a group now, and of course it changes with the number of people that are turning 65. But we have a listing now of a group of about 75 people that are members of the Pfitsch's Fish, and they meet on is it a monthly basis, Emily, that they have meetings? And as well as the group, when we made the changeover from the old building to this building, the group that wanted that pool open the fastest, beside the president at that time, was Pfitsch's Fish, and they've been in that pool ever since. And they love John, and they'll do anything that he asks of them. And the last thing I would say is John as a motivator and coaching style change. One of the tips that he talked about, that he said, Greg, when I was trying to teach the passing game, he said, my passer was not any good. He said, when I would send the receivers out to run a route, he said, I'd say, throw it to the receiver. He said, they were throwing it every place except to the receiver. So he finally said, we'll put a defender out there. And he said, now throw it at the defender. And sure enough, when he did that, then the receiver would always break in front of the ball to make the catch. And so, I mean, how many people will have thought about that as a way to try to teach a quarterback? But that's John. So, you know, there's not a whole lot more that I can say, but John, we certainly, all of us in this department, appreciate and love all the advice that you've given to us over the years. So thanks so much, John.